There's a storm across the valley. The clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Welcome to Community Forum. This is a sit-down with Ann DiSantos. You've seen her husband, John DiSantos, give a tour of the History Room on Depot Street in Southeastern. And now we're going to hear from Ann here in the studio about a long musical career for not just John, but for herself too. I'm Priscilla Almquist Olsen. Your host today is June
30th,
2023. And so welcome, Ann.
Thank you, Priscilla, for having me today.
You're welcome. And tell me about, how did all of this start? I mean, you met John many years ago, and what was the first thing the two of you did?
Well, I know it sounds really corny, but we met in the band director's office in high school. I was a freshman and he was a sophomore in high school, and we were both in the band in school. I was in band and chorus and second piano and jazz band, and he was in the jazz band and in the marching band. And there was some funny joke the band director told in his office, and I laughed, and my husband says he fell in love with me then. I laughed at a bad joke.
And so you were 14 and he was 15, and he fell in love.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
So what happened after high school?
Well, high school itself was a riot because we were in the band together, and as a piano player, you can't be in the marching band. I wanted to hang with John more often, so I volunteered to play the glockenspiel in the marching band. So I was just sitting in the bleachers playing glockenspiel, and then we were in the jazz band, and then he graduated a year ahead of me, went off to Berkeley. I pursued business studies, and I really was into real estate. I worked part-time as a secretary in a real estate office since I was 16 on all weekend. So tragically, I've worked 7 days a week most of my adult life. And I went at night to get my broker's license, real estate broker's license. And I got it when I was 17. I was the youngest to ever get it, they told me. And they had to hold my license till I was 18. So I went to school and worked as a broker for a while. And then we got married in '83. I was only 21. And he was 22, right out of college. And we had worked so hard and saved and just gone out for pizza once a week. We saved enough to buy a house, a small house. And then he was teaching at a shop, a music store in Stoughton at the time. And then he came home one day and said, I bought a music store. And it was like Green Acres. You are my wife, let's go. So I used to work in Boston and take the train, and worked at the, right across from South Station in the Federal Reserve Building. Beautiful job, beautiful office. And suddenly I had to leave the city, and we were living in Boston, and we ended up owning a store, and I just kind of got thrown into the music store.
Mm-hmm.
But as musicians, we both taught there.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran that at a very young age, and then we moved it to Easton just in a few years later because we exploded with students.
Mm-hmm.
So
John, I didn't realize, graduated from Berkeley School of Music.
Yep.
In Boston. It is the premier national music school.
Yeah.
So that is quite an honor.
He was going to teach band and be a band director, like a high school band director.
Mm-hmm.
Then he did his practicum, and he realized he couldn't do his gigs on the road if your Saturdays were doing the band director and the football games. And even though he enjoyed it, he didn't go that route. So once we got the store, we kind of had to conform. We were open a lot, and we had, at that location, we had about 12 teachers, and we were among the teachers. I studied classical for 11 years from a concert pianist. That's my studies.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to go into concert classical piano playing, which is highly competitive and really, it's really like indentured. You have to do it constantly. And it didn't lead to a life that would work with us being in a band together. And I really don't think I would have done as well in that, because you hit a wall where there's always someone so much better than you who plays for 10 hours a day. And so I'm glad we went the route we did. We had a lot of fun together, and we were in a band. He was in several bands. And then we, with our friend Greg, created a new band, and we did everything: covers, weddings, clubs. I did lounge lizard piano playing. And that's where you learn to get a good ear. People come up to just start singing, you have to follow them. And we used the same social skills as we did having the store. And we love kids and teaching. So that store, our store, we had that music store for 25 years. And we had gotten up to 22 teachers that included us, and about 400 students, give or take, the season.
That was 400 students a week?
Yeah.
With 22 teachers?
Yes.
What?
Because John and I each had 30 or 40 students ourselves.
My goodness.
So we love teaching. We still teach. I teach outside of the shop hours. That's why it has strange hours. In the mornings, I teach a lot of adults who don't want to come at night, and you're cognitively better in the morning when you're a senior. And then at night, I teach a few of the kids after we close. That's why our hours are a little different than some antique shops.
So your hours at the history room at the shop are 9 to 5?
No. They're Thursday and Friday, noon to 6, Saturday, 10 to 4, and the occasional Sunday.
Okay.
And because the other times I'm there teaching.
I see.
So I can't run the shop while teaching.
No, so Sunday to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah. So I'm a music minister on the weekend, Saturday night and Sunday day. And some Sunday afternoons we open up if it's an important time of year.
Sure.
Because families like to get together. And sometimes people come while they're waiting for breakfast at the farmer's daughter. They'll actually go down the street and go shopping, and then come back when the buzzer tells them their table's ready. So Sundays can be kind of fun. You get an interesting mix of people. So I would say once a month we open on a Sunday, but that's the other restrictions are because I'm out back teaching piano and voice.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the days you're open.
For retail, yeah.
For retail. And retail, your prices are so reasonable.
Thank you.
And so it makes it very easy to shop. And the one thing that really impressed me about the shop was the fact that there was something for everyone. I found something that would be perfect for a baby shower. It was a lovely silver-plated or pewter rattle that was with a wonderful book, illustrated book, an old book.
French nursery rhymes.
Nursery rhymes, yeah. Just beautiful. And I think it was only $20.
Yeah.
And worth a lot more. And you package all those things. And John said that if somebody wants an original gift for a guy or gal, and with an original theme, you can make that up.
I certainly try.
Yes,
it's fun.
So if somebody is somebody has a daughter who's having her first ballet recital, you could do a ballerina type of thing, right?
Yes.
And it might include jewelry. It might include a tiara if you have one.
I'm also a postcard collector. I know that sounds really boring, but I'm a stamp and postcard collector. So sometimes I'll find like a 100-year-old postcard that's exactly what it fits the theme of the basket. And where are people going to get a 100-year-old postcard with the theme of whatever they're celebrating? So sometimes I might like a little notice if it's really a quirky gift, but I'll put together gifts for, say, a professor, because I'll have real old textbooks that were pioneering textbooks or bios on inventors.
I noticed while I was there yesterday 2 books from the Gilmore estate. Now, the Gilmores, for those of you watching, is a very old Easton family, and one of them married an Ames, and I think it was Elvina Gilmore, who married Oakes Ames, who was the son of the original Oliver Ames.
Yes.
and Hazel Varela and Ed Hands, you're out there. You're going to correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm sure you'll be corrected.
But nevertheless, I was so surprised to see that. And they were beautifully leather-bound books. And not too big, just the right size to hold in your hand and enjoy. And they were classics. Of course, now I can't remember the titles, but they were 19th century or late 18th century books. So
I know it sounds strange, but Easton is pretty famous, and I've gotten books and postcards and things that are about Easton. A postcard of where the monument was originally, across from our shop, that was 100 years old, and you see the Model T car, and it's really kind of cool. And that I got from Iowa on an estate lot. So sometimes you get things that are from your own hometown, and some of the books are from someone in your own hometown, and they're from Midwest, or because the people migrated from here.
And you do have a ministry. You play. Do you play the piano or the organ? Or?
I play piano, a little bit of organ, and I sing. I'm a music director.
And you're a music director. And where is that?
At St. Martha in Plainville. It's right on 1A near the Unlikely Story bookstore, just past the casino. That's just the barometer there. And it's a sister parish. We're in a collaborative with St. Mary's in Rentham, which is near the outlet mall in Rentham. So sometimes I have to play over there. But St. Martha's my home place for the last 13 years. And before then I was at Holy Cross in Southeastern.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, so tell me, you've had such a wonderful musical career, which is still continuing, and I'm sure will continue until your last breath, right?
Yes.
And you and John have so much fun together. And I think it's because you have this shared passion for music. What do you think?
Well, it sure gives you an open mind and an open heart, because, and John especially plays such a diverse range of music styles, where mine is a little more aligned now with my church ministry. But years of lounge lizard playing hasn't hurt my church ministry, because it gives you a relaxed approach to music that can sometimes be a little bit high pressure. So I don't feel that same pressure because of all the other performances. My most pressure gig is every year I go on Boston Catholic TV, now called Catholic TV, for live, half-hour on their annual telethon. I've been to Bloomingdale, Alabama to go on EWTN. And that was a high pressure, and they didn't understand a word I was saying because I spoke too quick because I was from Boston. So I had to slow it down in Alabama. I had to keep doing retakes. That was great fun. And probably the most high profile thing I did was years ago. I actually got a call from the Vatican, and I thought it was a prank call. I thought it was a guitar player imitating Father Guido. And it was the nuncio for Pope John Paul, who's now a saint, and he liked one of my songs, which was the title track of a song, and they invited me to come sing at the UN, and I brought the Holy Cross Children's Choir in a bus full of deacons and chaperones to the UN in New York, and it was really great. And we had 3 hours to cram the UN 90-piece children's UN choir from all over the world. Learned the choreography and the song in 3 hours.
Wow. And
it was 500 degrees over there, and the hot lights of the giant lights, and it was great. And they beamed us into Vatican Square, so you could see yourself on the Jumbotron.
Wow.
And
you were telling me earlier that Aretha Franklin was also on that. She was beamed in.
She was beamed in, and Andrea Bocelli. I was sandwiched between their two performances.
Bocelli?
Yes, he was the first. He was in Italy, and he did the live on the veranda, and then I did it from the UN, and then Aretha did it from her studio. And they're like, my husband's like, the whole world's going to say, who was that? It was good enough for me.
Of course, and good enough for the Holy Cross Children's Choir. They must have been thrilled.
Oh,
what a memory for
so
life.
Great.
Yes, and here you are sandwiched between Aretha Franklin and Andrea Bocelli. I mean, Anne DiSantos. And you had the right last name to be beamed to the Vatican.
Well, once you sing for the Pope, your mom and dad are not impressed with anything after that. I had hardcore Italian, 100% Italian parents, so after that, it was all downhill.
Well, what wonderful memories.
Oh, I have to tell you a funny memory, though. On the bus, we did a rockumentary and interviewed the kids on the way in, how excited they were to sing for the Pope. And that's a lifetime thing. And then on the bus ride home, we asked them what was the highlight of their trip. And they all said the gift shop at the UN. So kids are kids,
Yeah.
and no matter what. So
Yeah.
if we could all embrace that zeal and carefreeness that the kids have,
Yes.
world would be a better place.
Well, it looks to me as if you have done that in your positive attitude about life and music, and you've blended it all together.
Thank you.
And then you also have some children. How
Yes.
did you manage to squeeze the children in?
Well, it was a little bit of a rough ride. We were childless for the first 14 years of marriage, and then I suffered a loss. And then I was fortunate enough to have my son, Salvatore, we call Sam, and he was born in 97, and it was wonderful. And he's a great guy, and he's working hard, and he bought his own little place, and he lives out in Westboro now, and he's still very close with us, and he's very close to his sister. And Eva came along much later when I was 42.
Oh, my goodness.
And she's now just about 20. She's going to be 20 next month. And she's going to Emmanuel College.
I see.
And
Now we
she
know
has
how
art.
old you are. We can add.
Yeah, I'm going to be 62.
So she's at Emmanuel.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
very good school.
commutes. She commutes by commuter rail. And she's an artist.
Yeah, you know, my grandmother, my mother's mother, was 42 when she had my mother. And my mother was 31 when she had me. I was 32 when I had my son. My daughter was, I was 34 when I had my son. My daughter was 32 when she had her son. So I figure we have saved the planet at least 3 to 4 generations because of and so you have done your
My part.
Your part in the environmental sustainability of this planet.
Yeah. I enjoyed being a little bit of an older parent. Sometimes I was a misfit among the younger moms, you know, in the play date world.
Well, I
it's
can
okay.
remember my daughter coming to me. I think she was about 8 or 9, and she said, Mommy, why are you 10 years older than all the other moms?
Exactly.
Why do you have to be 10 years older? I said, because I am always available to take you and your friends anywhere you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that those moms are so young that they don't have time for that.
True.
And and so I guess it must have registered, because instead of being in her 20s when she had her first, she was 32.
Yeah.
And then 37 when she had her second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but today kids are much more sensible, I think. They're thinking about establishing a career so that they can be in a good financial position to support their children.
Sure.
And that makes perfect sense to me, you
Sure.
know. But then accidents happen.
Yes, and also your husband comes home and said, I bought a store.
Right, I bought
Yeah.
a store.
Goodbye, city life. So it's pretty much green acres for us.
Yes.
And we moved out to Easton, and most of our family didn't even know where Easton was, practically. Anything south of the town spa was like unknown territory. So in Easton, it's like, yes, we have grocery stores and gas stations. What are you going to do out there? No, that kind of thing.
John told
now
us
it's built
that
up.
you both grew up in Hyde Park.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Just very young in Hyde Park, and then we moved back there when we were married.
I see.
So, and then we grew up mostly in Canton. We met in the Canton schools. We were paralleled in all our schools, just a year apart, and didn't know each other till the high school.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you graduate Canton High School?
Yes.
You did.
And
Okay.
then we didn't know till after we were married. Did he tell you about our grandmothers?
Mm-mm.
Our John and I are somehow, I think it's third cousins. We're from the same town in Italy, and his grandma had pictures of my family in her hutch, and my grandmother had pictures of his family. My grandmother was given up for adoption, and we didn't know her biological parents' name. She was the first cousin of John's grandmother.
No.
So our lives are not only paralleled here, but from right off the boat, and my grandmother delivered his grandmother's first baby,
No,
who I named my daughter Eva after.
I see.
And they came over on the boat together.
Wow,
Isn't that crazy?
it is.
So
it
we're
is.
boat people.
Yeah, and it's strange that that story didn't pass down.
Well, right, exactly. Well, we discovered it, and my uncle had done a genealogy,
Uh-huh.
and then it kind of was like, whoa.
And so now, are you into the DNA? I mean, I've done 3 of them.
No, my brother did it, so I
Yeah,
know
oh.
one side, but John hasn't done it yet.
Have you been to Italy?
Not yet. We're waiting. We have tuition to pay still. When there's no more tuition, we'll go.
Yeah.
We'll take the kids and go right to that town. John's parents went 18 times
Oh my
and went to
goodness.
the town we're from 3 times.
I see.
And they look like us, but they all smoke.
Oh dear. Oh, then you better get there
A
soon.
lot of smoking over in Europe.
I know, but
They
you better
drive
get,
fast cars, little fast cars.
Yeah, well, you better get there soon. If they're all
Someday.
smoking.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally, what has been the greatest joy for you as you look back at your life and your musical career, your family, the joy that you have with being with John, partnering with him in the musical world and the family world. What do you think is the most important thing? And what's meant more to you than anything else?
Well, we're a pretty tight nuclear family. So I would say teaching the kids about hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't always make you a millionaire, but it gives you pride. And the more you do, the more you can do. I feel like we worked so many long days. And so now just kind of doing the antique shop doesn't seem like hard work compared to what I used to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my music ministry is still kind of premier to me as far as career, because I'm working on, I have a new album coming out, maybe a double album instead of making 2. And I have one album that's bereavement and healing songs that I had written for people who I know who were sick or passed. And I give that to people who've lost someone. And I get letters from people saying that certain song helped me. I used to have a good cry in the car playing your CDs. And then I have funky, lively CDs as well, but it's the music touching people you don't know even touch them. And then you get letters from people saying, your music meant a lot to me. It helped me get through a bad time. So I look forward to recording more and getting more music out there before I worry about if something happened to me, those songs will go nowhere. No one would have heard them.
Right.
So
So
that's
how
still
many
important.
how many albums have you created?
6.
Wow.
And I'm on a unique CD called Catholic Artists for the Millennium that we did at 2000. And it had 12 people on it that represented Catholic music ministry at the time. And that was put out by the Vatican.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So.
Okay, and I noticed that some of those albums are available at the History Room at your shop.
Yep. And they're on, and all of my material is on CD Baby and Amazon and all the listening outlets. You can download my music anywhere.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that would be
Spotify.
And so it's Anne DiSantos, ANNE.
ANNE DISANTO.
Right. Anne DiSanto. So go online, Google Anne DiSanto on Amazon, and you can pick and choose. And what a wonderful gift to give someone who's lost somebody, the bereavement album. Yeah, wonderful. So that just touches your heart and makes everything so worthwhile and brings a lot of joy.
I feel like it's a legacy for my kids too, because I wish I could preserve my grandmother's voice in time. So maybe my great-grandchildren will know what their great-grandmother sounded like, and they feel like I'm still there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, Anne DiSantos, you're going to be here for a long time, I can tell, because God has has had a purpose for you and has a continuing purpose for you. So that's how I feel.
Thank you.
I wouldn't have lived this long, I think, if that hadn't been true.
Well, you need a reason to get up every morning, and you have to look forward and try to leave a footprint other than a carbon one for the next generation.
That's right. And what a wonderful legacy you have left. So thank you, Anne DiSantos, for being my guest today. Thank you for opening up your shop to us yesterday, and John for giving us a great tour. We appreciate all of that. I hope the listening and viewing audience has enjoyed this presentation. And please go to the Depot Street, right there at the light, right shortly after that light there on Depot and Center. You will find a big sign that says History Room, and you right after the light, you have to make a quick turn right into that driveway and get in there, and you'll see what used to be a one-room schoolhouse back in the 1800s, and now is the History Room, which is an antique store. It's filled with everything, jewelry, books, glass, all kinds of things, even a child's sleigh from the 1800s. Amazing. And of course, a piano or two. So thank you so much, Anne. This is Priscilla, Almquist Olsen, wishing you well. Take care.
There's a storm across the valley.